Hi, I'm Matthew Oliver. I'm a horticulturist here at RHS Garden Hyde Hall, and today I'm in our learning garden and I want to talk to you about our worm composters. Our worm composters are brilliant if you've got a small garden and not enough space for a large compost heap and you're only producing a small amount of waste each week. And a worm composter works differently from a normal compost bin because what we have is a completely self-contained unit with different trays in it, and rather than the waste breaking down through getting it to a high temperature or using lots of bacteria and fungi like a traditional compost heap, this relies on the worms doing the work for you. So they are actually eating and digesting the material you put in and producing a really lovely, rich compost that you can use. It's really simple. I believe this unit that we have is no longer available to buy, but you can get something that's very similar and they all work on the same principle. Or if you really want to, you can make them yourselves using plastic bins. We have a system of 3 different trays and a collecting unit at the bottom with a tap on, and in the top tray this is where we put all of our kitchen waste. Normally you want to use lots of soft material, so vegetable peelings, old fruit, tea bags are good, coffee grounds, all of those types of things. So we've got some waste from the veg garden here, and we pile this into the top tray. Some old beans and carrot tops, things like that. Pack those in. And then how this works is when we fill that top tray, on the underside of this tray, you might be able to see there's lots of little holes in there, and the worms work their way up through the holes in the tray, much like they would if they were working through the soil in the forest floor. They come up through the soil and they're pulling down material from above, like leaves on a forest floor. The same thing with this, and then they're eating and digesting it, and then when they excrete that waste, it is deposited in the trays below as a lovely, rich, deep black compost. You should be able to see. Really soft and light, really fertile, and it's completely different from normal compost because it's been broken down in the worm's gut rather than by bacteria. And this is great to use in pots and containers, and this mixing it in with your potting compost because it's really moisture retentive. So if you're using it in areas that will dry out quickly, it helps hold that moisture in and provides lots of plant food as well. And then in the bottom we have a container where all the liquid runs through. There's holes in the lid that lets the rain run through them, and it washes all through the compost, and any excess moisture runs off as well. And we have a tap and we can harvest that, run it off into any container you want, and we use this like compost tea. So we would take a little bit off and then water that down to dilute it down, and then you've got a liquid plant food that's great to use throughout the summer, especially on fruiting crops such as tomatoes, courgettes, sort of annual bedding plants that you want to flower lots because it should be really high in potassium. So you can use that as a homemade replacement for tomato food, basically. A couple of things you need to remember as we're going into the winter is, as we go into the colder months, the worms slow down, they metabolise slower. So as we get into the really harsh winter months, especially sort of November, December, January and February, you might want to just ease off on how much material you put in because they won't get through it as quickly. And if you can, moving them inside really helps as well, because we don't want this to freeze. We want to keep them above frost level. So if you can move them into a shed, a garage, your glass house, somewhere like that is ideal. If you can't do that, it might pay just to wrap the whole unit in a bit of fleece or some Hessian sacking on really cold nights, just to keep them alive. But these are fantastic for really small gardens.